They don't fall in love with your looks. They don't fall in love with your words. They fall in love with your value and your energy. That's it. Two reasons, two forces that determine everything about attraction, connection, and longevity. See, people can be entertained by anyone, but they are transformed only by those who carry depth. You become unforgettable not by being perfect, but by being real and rare. When you walk into a room with purpose, calm, and certainty, you send a signal most people never emit. I know who I am. And that signal, it's magnetic. The first reason people fall in love with you is the value you bring. Not material value, not superficial charm, but the kind of value that changes how others feel about themselves when they're around you. Real love begins when someone feels elevated by your presence, when your strength gives them permission to be honest, when your consistency makes them feel safe, when your discipline awakens something dormant in them. People don't fall for words, they fall for standards. The truth is, attraction is the natural consequence of self-mastery. You don't have to convince anyone to love you when you've already proven that you can love yourself through action, discipline, and truth. That's why weak people chase. That's why strong people attract. Because chasing comes from lack. Attraction comes from wholeness. When you start living with purpose, you become a mirror that reflects other people's potential. And those who are ready for growth, those who are ready for depth, will be drawn to you. The rest will fall away. The second reason people fall in love with you is your energy. Not your mood, not your social mask, your energy, the vibration that radiates from your self-belief. You can't fake that, you can't script it, you can't Photoshop it. Energy is the result of alignment. Your thoughts, actions, and values moving in one direction. When your energy is grounded in truth, people feel it instantly. You become a calm storm, powerful, composed, impossible to ignore. That's why confidence isn't loud. It's silent authority. It's the man or woman who doesn't need validation because they already operate from internal certainty. Understand this. People don't love you because you give them attention. They love you because you give them clarity. You remind them of who they want to become. And that reminder is rare in a world full of noise. You want people to love you? Stop performing. Stop explaining. Stop proving. Start living as someone who has already chosen themselves. That's when you shift from wanting love to commanding it, because the truth is brutal but liberating. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. If you want loyalty, be loyal. If you want depth, live deeply. If you want respect, respect yourself enough to walk away from anything that threatens your peace. Every time you tolerate less than you deserve, you teach the world how to treat you. Every time you settle for temper. Airy comfort. You betray your long-term potential. So don't ask, why don't they love me? Ask, have I become someone worth falling in love with? Above is not found. It's earned through growth, integrity, and consistency. You don't get love by chasing validation. You get it by becoming the person who no longer needs it. That's when you exude a quiet power. That's when your presence becomes peace for others. And let me tell you something most people will never understand. The moment you stop trying to impress others is the exact moment you start to inspire them. You want to be loved deeply? Then live deeply. You want to be respected? Move with principle. You want to be unforgettable? Then stop being available. Everyone who doesn't match your energy, the ones who truly see your worth, will recognize it without you needing to prove a single thing. They'll feel your energy. They'll sense your discipline. They'll respect your boundaries. That's the paradox. Love finds you the moment you no longer need it to define you. People fall in love with those who have built something sacred inside themselves, peace, purpose, direction, because in the end, love is not a chase. It's gravity. And gravity doesn't beg, it pulls. So remember this. People will fall in love with you for only two reasons. A, Brookie, because of the value you add to their world. E, Brew, and because of the energy you carry within yours. Everything else is noise. Everything else fades. Be the person whose silence carries power. E, Bruhi, be the person whose presence commands respect. And watch how love, connection, and admiration stop being things you seek, E, Bruka, and start being things you attract. People don't chase looks forever. They don't stay for charm. They stay where value lives. Because value is the one thing that never fades, never lies, and never loses power. Attraction built on image dies fast. Attraction built on substance, that endures. Abraqui value is not about what you have, it's about who you are when no one is watching. It's the strength in your discipline, the honesty in your words, the integrity in your actions. Real value is rare because it demands work. It demands self-respect. It demands that you hold yourself to a standard even when no one else is clapping. E.C. Bruzy, you see, most people try to get attraction. They chase attention, validation, and temporary approval. But attention isn't attraction, it's distraction. True attraction comes when you stop begging the world to notice you and start earning your own respect first. When you build a life that reflects strength, focus, and emotional stability, people feel it before you even speak. Value creates a kind of gravity. It draws people in without effort. Ibrosi, you don't have to prove yourself. Your actions speak for you. You don't need to compete. Your composure already separates you. You don't need to demand love. Your presence already inspires it. Here's the truth. People are drawn to value because it awakens their own potential. When they see someone who's stable, disciplined, and grounded, it reminds them of what they could be. That's why they're pulled toward you. You're not offering them entertainment, you're offering them elevation. But value doesn't come from pretending to be strong, it comes from confronting your weakness. It's forged in the moments when you want to quit but choose not to. Every time you stay consistent, every time you choose patience over impulse, every time you walk away from what cheapens your peace, you're adding to your value. And that accumulation builds attraction that no surface level quality can match. Because attraction rooted in value doesn't shout, it doesn't need validation, it doesn't perform for approval, it simply is. That's why you can't fake it. People can sense real value from miles away. It's in your tone, your eyes, your stillness. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you've done the inner work. Understand this. Value attracts not just people, but opportunity. It draws better relationships, deeper respect, higher standards, and stronger outcomes. The world rearranges itself for the person who refuses to settle for mediocrity. Ye bro, you want to become magnetic? Then stop trying to look valuable. Become valuable. Build habits that shape your character. Speak truth even when it costs you. Stand for something when others fold for comfort. That's how you separate yourself. When you walk with value, you no longer chase attention. You attract alignment. The people who meet you won't just be interested, they'll be inspired. They won't just desire you, they'll respect you. And that respect lasts longer than any infatuation. Abraqui, let others play games. Let them chase validation. You build, you grow, you refine, you protect your peace like it's gold, because it is. Every boundary you enforce, every temptation you reject, every standard you maintain, it all compounds into value. And soon you realize something powerful, Abrasi, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. If you're empty, you'll draw emptiness. If you're chaotic, you'll invite chaos. But if you're stable, grounded, and disciplined, you'll magnetize people who mirror that energy. Hey, Buri. So stop asking why people leave. Ask why they should stay. Brory, what do they feel in your presence? Calm or chaos, security or uncertainty, depth or drama? Because attraction is not about the thrill, it's about the effect you have on others. The person who brings peace, clarity and purpose into a room will always outshine the one who only brings excitement. Excitement fades, value stays. When you carry real value, your silence has meaning, your time has weight, your attention has worth. That's why people start respecting your distance, not resenting it. That's why they miss you when you leave, because your absence reminds them what your presence gave. So build yourself until your presence speaks louder than your words. Don't chase the world, let it come to you because of the strength you've built within. Confusion kills attraction, always. Because people don't chase what they don't understand. They chase what's clear, certain, and direct. Clarity isn't just about knowing what you want. It's about embodying it so deeply that the world has no choice but to recognize it. When you are clear, you move differently. You speak less, but your words carry weight. You stop sending mixed signals to others and to yourself. You stop trying to be everything for everyone and start becoming something solid for yourself. That's when desire begins, not out of manipulation, but out of certainty. People are drawn to clarity because clarity feels safe. It feels powerful. It feels like direction in a world full of confusion. When you stand firm in who you are and what you value, you separate yourself from the noise. The uncertain chase attention, the certain attract respect. Clarity is not arrogance, it's alignment. It's the peace that comes from knowing your purpose, your limits, and your worth. And when that alignment radiates through your actions, others feel it. They trust it, they desire it, because deep down everyone is searching for someone who knows. Someone who knows where they're going, what they believe in, and what they will or will not accept. That's why indecision repels people, because indecision whispers chaos. It shows that you don't trust yourself, and if you don't, why should anyone else? But the moment you gain clarity about your goals, your boundaries, your energy, you become magnetic. You stop chasing emotions and start creating direction. Understand this, attraction without clarity is temporary, burns fast and dies even faster. But attraction rooted in clarity grows deeper because it's built on trust and truth. When you're clear, people don't just want you, they respect you. They see you as someone whose presence adds stability to their uncertainty. Clarity is power because it cuts through illusion. It forces both you and others to face reality. You stop entertaining people who waste your time. You stop tolerating situations that drain your energy. You stop hoping and start deciding. And that shift, that internal decision, changes everything. Because once you know what you want, every no becomes easier. Every ending becomes direction. Every silence becomes protection. Clarity gives you peace in rejection because you understand one thing. Not everything aligns with your path, and that's perfectly fine. Desire grows where certainty lives. People are drawn to someone who doesn't need to be chosen. Someone who's already chosen themselves. When you're clear about your values, you stop trying to impress and start expressing. You stop seeking validation and start demonstrating strength. That self-assurance is irresistible. Think about it. How many people wander through life saying they want love, success, or peace, but have no structure, no standards, no plan? They think wanting is enough. It's not. Desire without direction is just noise. But desire with it becomes force. It becomes movement. When your vision is clear, your energy sharpens. You no longer attract random people. You attract aligned ones. You no longer get stuck in meaningless conversations. You build meaningful connections. Because clarity filters everything. It shows others that you're not desperate for attention. You're selective with it. That's what commands respect. And let's be honest, desire without respect is worthless. If someone wants you but doesn't respect what you stand for, they don't truly desire you. They desire the feeling you temporarily give them. But clarity demands respect first. It says, if you want access to my world, you match my direction or you step aside. That's why clarity is not just attractive, it's transformative. It changes how you move, who you attract, and what you tolerate. It eliminates the weak connections that thrive in confusion and opens space for strength, depth, and real intimacy. So ask yourself, what do you stand for? What do you want? What are you no longer available for? Until you answer those questions, you'll keep repeating cycles with people and situations that drain your energy. But once you answer them, truly answer them, you'll start walking like someone who knows, and people feel that. Clarity breeds desire because it reflects maturity. It shows emotional intelligence. It shows that you're not here to play games, you're here to grow. You're not here to please, you're here to build. When your life reflects purpose, people want to be a part of it, not because you beg them to, but because your direction inspires them. That's what clarity does. It turns your presence into a compass for others. So stop hiding behind maybe. Stop living in someday. Stop saying, I don't know. Worry, you do know. You've just been afraid to admit it because clarity demands action. It demands responsibility. But once you take that step, confusion loses its power over you forever. You'll start walking lighter, speaking stronger, and thinking sharper. Your circle will shrink, but the quality will rise. Your focus will tighten, but your results will multiply. Because when you're clear, everything around you reorganizes itself to match your vision. That's the unseen force of alignment. It doesn't beg, it pulls. It doesn't chase, it commands. Hébreu. In the end, people don't fall in love with confusion. They fall in love with conviction. Debrouillerie. They don't admire hesitation. They admire certainty. They don't follow the loud. They follow the clear. You can't fake real. You can mimic confidence, copy style, and rehearse charm, but authenticity, that's untouchable. It's the rarest energy in the room, and that's why it's magnetic. People are drawn to truth like starving men to food, because in a world drowning in masks, the real one becomes unforgettable. Authenticity isn't about saying everything that comes to mind. It's not rebellion for the sake of rebellion. It's alignment. It's when who you are inside finally matches who you show the world. That harmony creates power. Quiet, steady, unshakable power. Hébreu. Most people exhaust themselves performing. They twist themselves into versions they think others will accept. They chase validation, approval, and belonging, not realizing every time they do, they trade a piece of their truth for comfort. But comfort gained through pretending is a slow death of the soul. It feels good now but costs everything later. Authenticity is the opposite of that. It's choosing truth even when it isolates you. It's choosing self-respect over acceptance. It's the courage to be disliked for being real rather than loved for being fake. And here's the paradox. When you stop performing, you stop repelling yourself. And that's when the right people start appearing. Because authenticity creates resonance. It speaks directly to the people who are built like you, who value like you, who see the world through the same lens. You don't need to chase them. They recognize you instantly because truth recognizes truth. That's why authentic people are magnetic. They're consistent. Their words and actions match. They don't say one thing and live another. You can feel their honesty in the way they look at you, in the way they stand, in the silence between their sentences. They don't need to prove they are. Ebrook, and that's what attracts the world. Not perfection, but realness. Because perfection is intimidating. Realness is inviting. The person who's authentic gives others permission to drop their masks too. When you're real, you create space for honesty. People start relaxing around you because they can feel there's no hidden agenda, no performance, no trap. You become a mirror that reflects what's true, and that reflection brings peace.
But authenticity requires strength. It means you'll stand alone sometimes.
You'll walk away from situations that demand you to be smaller than you are. You'll disappoint people who only loved the version of you that pleased them. But that's okay, Because authenticity doesn't lose people, it filters them. The ones who stay when you're real are the ones who are meant to stay. The rest were only attracted to the mask. Let them go. Let their absence make space for connection that's honest.
When you live authentically, you become harder to manipulate. Why? Because manipulation feeds on insecurity.
But when you're grounded in your truth, you can't be guilted into silence or fear-driven into compliance. You stand firm because your worth is no longer up for negotiation. TBRE. That's when your energy changes. You stop trying to impress and start to impact. You stop trying to fit in and start to stand out. You stop asking, do they like me? And start asking, am I being true to myself right now? Brooker people feel that energy. It's quiet but powerful. It's not loud confidence, it's calm certainty. It's the kind of energy that walks into a room and doesn't need to compete. Because authenticity doesn't chase spotlight, it creates gravity. Abra understands something deep. You can't connect deeply while living superficially. If you want depth in love, business, or friendship, you must risk being seen as you are. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's courage in raw form. When you show your truth, you attract those who are ready for real connection. Authenticity also destroys imitation. You'll see others try to copy your words, your style, your rhythm, but what they can't copy is your essence, because essence isn't built, it's revealed. You can only access it by being honest with yourself. To be authentic is to stop hiding from your story. Everything you've been through, the pain, the failure, the disappointment, it all shaped your voice, your perception, your power. The authentic person doesn't erase their scars, they own them. They understand that vulnerability is not exposure, it's evolution. And when you reach that place, when you no longer need permission to exist as yourself, your attraction multiplies tenfold. Not because you tried harder, but because you finally stopped trying at all. The world is starving for realness. Scroll through any platform and you'll see it. Filters, facades, empty noise. But when someone shows up raw, unfiltered, and unshaken, people pause. They listen. Because truth vibrates at a frequency that the fake can't reach. That's what makes authenticity magnetic. It's not that everyone will like you. It's that the right ones won't be able to ignore you.
So stop dimming your truth to fit in. Stop apologizing
For your intensity, your depth, your emotions, your standards. Stop trying to make everyone comfortable with your power. You are not built to blend in. You are built to stand out through integrity. And remember, being real will cost you something, but being fake costs you everything. So walk in truth, speak with intention, act with alignment. Let your life become so consistent that people trust your silence more than they trust others' words. Love without boundaries is not love. It's chaos disguised as compassion. People think saying yes to everything means they're being kind, but the truth is the opposite. Love without limits destroys both the giver and the receiver. Boundaries are not walls. They're the framework that makes love safe, real, and sustainable. Without boundaries, affection turns into obligation. Care turns into control, and connection becomes dependence. The people who truly love you don't need you to be available for their every demand. They need you to be anchored. Because an anchored person can love deeply without losing themselves. See, boundaries are not about keeping people out, they're about keeping you intact. They're how you teach others the language of your worth. Every time you say no to what dishonors you, you reinforce the standard for how you deserve to be treated. Love built without that standard will collapse the moment pressure hits. Real love is not endless compromise, it's mutual respect. It's knowing where you end and another begins. It's having the courage to say, this is who I am, this is what I need, and this is where my peace lives. That clarity is what makes love last. Because when you remove boundaries, you remove identity. And without identity, there is no you left to love. Most people think boundaries push others away, but in truth, boundaries draw the right people closer. They attract those who value depth, respect, and self-awareness. Because strong individuals don't fear limits, they admire them. Weak ones see boundaries as rejection. Strong ones see them as structure. Think about it. A house without walls isn't open, it's exposed. It's vulnerable to everything outside of it. The same applies to your heart. If you don't define your emotional territory, anyone can walk in, rearrange your peace, and leave without consequence. Boundaries protect your emotional architecture. They're the invisible strength that holds love together. You teach others how to love you by how you love yourself. Every time you enforce a boundary, you declare, "My self-respect matters." And that declaration changes the entire dynamic of a relationship. People either rise to meet it or fall away because they can't handle accountability. Either outcome is a win because clarity always filters truth. Boundaries also reveal motives. The ones who truly care for you will respect your limits. They won't guilt you for needing space, silence, or time. They understand that love without freedom is possession, and possession is not love. The ones who resist your boundaries never wanted love, they wanted control. So when someone says you've changed after you set a boundary, what they really mean is, you've stopped letting me take advantage. And that's growth. The most powerful form of love isn't the one that clings, it's the one that respects distance. It's two whole people choosing each other, not two broken halves trying to survive together. Boundaries make that possible. They create the balance between intimacy and independence. Without them, love becomes dependency, an emotional addiction where one person's peace is sacrificed for another's comfort. That's not connection, that's captivity. You can't call it love when one person has to disappear for the other to feel secure. Boundaries give love oxygen. They allow space for individuality, self-reflection, and truth. They make relationships stronger because they create trust. When someone knows where your lines are, they feel safer around you. There's no guessing, no manipulation, no game, just honesty. Broken honesty, not intensity, is what keeps love alive. People often mistake boundary setting for coldness. But it's not cold, it's clear, it's not distance, it's definition. It's the difference between someone who loses themselves in love and someone who builds love from strength. The person who knows their limits doesn't love less, they love better, because their love comes from choice, not desperation. Understand this, boundaries are an act of love, not just for others, but for yourself. Saying no when you need rest. Walking away when respect fades. Refusing to argue when peace is more valuable than being right. These are not signs of weakness, they're signs of maturity. When you love someone and still protect your peace, you're showing them what real love looks like. Balanced, grounded, disciplined. You're teaching them that love doesn't demand self-erasure, it demands self-respect. And if that makes some people uncomfortable, so be it. You were not born to be a doormat for someone else's insecurity. You were born to live with integrity, and integrity requires limits. Boundaries don't shrink love, they refine it. They separate infatuation from respect, attachment from commitment, noise from truth. They ensure that when someone stays, they stay for the real you, not the version you created to keep them comfortable. So draw the line, and draw it with strength, not bitterness. The right ones will understand, the wrong ones will vanish. Both outcomes serve your peace. Remember, love without boundaries burns out. Love with boundaries burns brighter, because it's no longer about control, it's about connection built on respect. The person who enforces boundaries doesn't love less, they love cleaner. They don't build walls, they build structure. They don't isolate, they elevate. Because in the end, love is not proven by how much you sacrifice, but by how much truth you can hold while still staying kind. So let them call you cold. Let them say you're different now. You're not colder, you're clearer, you're not distant, you're defined. And that definition is what makes your love powerful. Because boundaries don't limit love, they protect it. Boundaries don't kill attraction, they deepen it. Boundaries define love, because without them, love ceases to mean anything at all.